Hey ladies, welcome back to Fruitfully Feminine. I'm Gabrielle and today I'm filming in kind of a weird spot. It's just a really nice day out and I wanted to sit by the door and have it open and I'm cooking dinner and I wanted to film a video about meal planning. I wanted to make a video about how I meal plan because I've watched a lot of videos about meal planning and I've had roommates or family that have asked me tips and tricks because I love it. And I got a lot of resources from the internet to kind of find out how I should meal plan best. So I wanted to kind of share and be one of those resources for women in the future who kind of want to know where to start with meal planning. I lay out everything I'm gonna eat for the next 2 weeks, and I always make it on paycheck week as the week I go to the grocery store. So that could be different for you. Some women plan monthly, some plan weekly, some plan 2 days ahead. I like to have a 2-week plan so that if something does change, it's not so far out that I've planned like a whole month around it, but also if nothing changes, that I'm prepared for a while and I don't have to be meal planning, because I do spend a lot of time meal planning and I don't want to be doing that once a week. So I do it once every other week. How I begin my meal planning is the very first thing I do is I set aside a day, and it's usually the Tuesday before I start meal planning, to see what ingredients I have left over. Stuff that's about to go bad, stuff that I want out of the house, or yeah, just leftovers of something, so that I can plan my meals around that. If I have a bunch of tomato sauce cans and I want to get rid of cans, I'm gonna make spaghetti, a casserole, lasagna, a soup, something. So I start by looking at what I already have, so I'm spending less on groceries, because if I already have spent a lot of money on food, I don't want to spend more. I sort of write down the kinds of meals I can make. Then, like, say I have no food in my house, then I'm just gonna write down meals I want to make. How do I know what I want to make? What I do is I look at my planner for the next 2 weeks. So I look at my events, see if I'm hosting, see if there's a church potluck or a Bible study that I need to bring a treat to. I can't think of anything. A picnic that I'd plan. Maybe it's someone's birthday, one of my friends' birthdays, and I'm gonna cook them a meal or cook them a dessert. So I look at what I'm doing to know what food I need. And then I combine kind of what I have in my house, what I need to make, and then from that I kind of have fun. Say I have nothing coming up in the next 2 weeks and I don't have any food in my house, then I just have fun. I come up with recipes. That part I can't really help too much with. That part is your own preference. If you want to eat turkey and beans every day, then you're gonna eat turkey and beans every day. I like to make about 4 meals in 2 weeks and eat leftovers, and then like 2 breakfasts. Something that I'll make on a Saturday and then half for the next week, Saturday, half for the next week. So, and I'll occasionally make probably one dessert every 2 weeks. So that's kind of my meal plan. That's what I like to do. If you're one of those types of people that if you have a huge family, you can't just make a quick thing of leftovers and eat it for a week. I understand that. I can do that because I'm single. I also plan any nights or days that I'm gonna be eating out or at someone's house, because I don't need to cook those days. And if I'm gonna have leftovers that are gonna go bad and I'm gonna be eating out 2 nights in a row for some reason, I'm trying to think of any. Let's say like a friend's having me over one night and the next night I'm going out for dinner, and then the next night I'm home for the weekend where my mom's gonna cook for me. I don't wanna make a bunch of food and then have leftovers that go bad. So I kind of plan around that as well. I also look at the nights that I'm babysitting. So I babysit almost every single night after work. So I can't spend 3 hours in the kitchen when I get home at 5:15 if I'm gonna babysit at 6. So I have to know if I wanna make roast chicken and carrots and Brussels sprouts and some fun meal that I want to spend my time in the kitchen on, I'm gonna have to make it on a Saturday or Sunday, depending if I already have plans or not. Deciding what I'm gonna eat. I write down every single thing I'm gonna make. I don't write the days, I don't write when I need to prep, I just figure out what the snacks am I gonna eat the next 2 weeks. Okay, I'm gonna have spaghetti this night and I'll have leftovers for 3 days. Perfect. I'm gonna make these 3 dishes, this dessert, these 2 breakfasts, and go out this day. Great. Then I make the meal plan schedule. I write down when I need to cook what things. I read all the recipes for timing, so if there's something that needs an overnight stint in the fridge or it needs to cook for 8 hours, I'm not gonna make it, on a Sunday when I'm gonna be at church all day and have, stuff. So I'm gonna have to make this 8-hour thing on a Saturday, or if I have something that only takes 15 minutes, I'll make it on a night that I do have to babysit. So then I decide when I need to prep everything. If I'm gonna come home and I need to make something quick, but there's a lot of like chopping garlic, onions, carrots, celery, something like that, then I'm gonna prep to do that the night before. I'm gonna write down in my planner or wherever you do your meal plan, okay, I'm eating this meal on the 4th and cooking it on the 4th, but I need to prep it on the 3rd. If I have lots of time, I'll just cook it all on the same day. If it takes 4 or 5 hours, I'm gonna start the night before, or if it's a cake that needs to be in the fridge for a few hours, I'm gonna make it on the day before it's supposed to be done. Stuff like that. Basically, I write down when I need to prep, when I'm gonna cook it, and when I'm gonna eat the food. That's the full meal plan. Now I have the schedule laid out. Writing down every ingredient I need. And that doesn't matter if I have it, whatever it is, I write down everything. If I'm using recipe, I write it down to the last salt and pepper amount. I write down everything I need. Then I combine them. So if I needed an avocado in this recipe and an avocado in this recipe, I'm just gonna combine 2 avocados on my list, right? So I make the list, and then I condense, checking what I do and don't have. So I look in my cabinets, in my fridge, in my freezer, in my pantry. I'm gonna make something with coconut milk. Oh, look at this can that was hidden behind some other cans. I already have coconut milk, crossing that off the list. I don't need to buy that. Great. Basically making sure I don't double up, like I'm buying a ton of frozen peas and I already have 3 bags in my freezer. I'm going to make that grocery list now that's been narrowed down and it's been checked over, like I don't have anything that I already have at the house on it, writing the list in the order that I go in the store in. I know that's so extra. I love lists, I love organizing, and I like efficiency. So when I walk into a store, if I've got milk and then fruit and then meat and then butter, it's on my list. It's just gonna make it hard for my brain. So I put all the fruits and veggies at the top because I hit produce first. Then I put any like bread items because then it's the bread aisle. Then I put any meat and fish and chicken. And then I put my, you know, like other stuff, items. And then finally I'll put dairy and freezer stuff and cream and cheese and milk, all that good stuff, eggs, at the bottom of the list because I hit that last. Basically, I make the list efficient for me, efficient how my store is set up. Then I make a list of when I need to shop for the stuff. So if I can get everything on my list in one trip, that's great. But usually I've got stuff like avocados, and if I'm making that in week 2, then day 1 of week 1, I can't go get an avocado. It's gonna go bad. Same with bananas, stuff like that. Maybe I'm making banana bread on week 2, so I need to buy the bananas week 1 so that I know I need bananas. So I separate it by how many times I have to go to the store. It's usually twice. I usually hit the store twice in 2 weeks. I'll go once for all the stuff I need for upcoming recipes and anything that I can use for second week recipes that is non-perishable. Like if I'm gonna make pasta in the second week, I'm gonna buy the pasta on my first trip so that my second trip's always smaller. It's usually avocados, fruits, any meat that I don't want to freeze, stuff like that. Finally, once I get everything home, unpacked, and in the fridge and freezer, I write if I ever need to take anything out for a recipe. So in a lot of recipes, if you want room temperature cream cheese, I don't want to get to making the recipe and it's been in my fridge and it says make room temperature and I'm like, crap, now I have to melt it in the microwave and it's going to be weird and melty and yada yada yada. Or I need to make fish and I've had it in my freezer and I go to make it and it's completely frozen and I can't do anything. So I just write down a plan to thaw items. It's just a good step in general. To know that you need to have stuff out of the fridge and freezer is insanely helpful before you go into a recipe. You should always, always, always read recipes before you start making them. Just the other day, I was super hungry and I came home and I was like, I'm gonna make this beef stew. It's gonna be so good. I opened up a couple of my recipe books. I knew I had everything for it and I found a really good recipe and I was like, that's the one I'm gonna use. I'm in the middle of making it. I put everything in the pot and then it says simmer for 3 hours. At this point, it's already 6. I've been home for an hour cooking and I'm starving. It was so dumb. But I hadn't read the recipe first. It was a last minute whim thing, which I normally don't do, which I've learned my lesson to not do. I, of course, will have a fun moment where I'm like, I really want cookies, and I'll look in my fridge and see I have eggs and butter, and I've got brown sugar flour and normal sugar and salt, and I'll make cookies. But that's a lot more rare because I try to only keep the stuff that I need on hand. I don't like a packed fridge and freezer. I don't like random pantry items. I inventory all of my food, so I like to be clean and organized and efficient. Anyways, I hope this helps. I hope it shows you one way to do meal planning, even if you do it a different way. I hope maybe you can learn a tip from this or something. I learned a lot from watching online videos and reading mommy blogs and stuff like that, so I hope it was helpful. I hope you have a wonderful day or week or month or whenever I see you again, and I will see you next time for a video on infertility. Have a good one. Bye.